relax. My father's in a place of safety, and I'm sure he's quite comfortable right now. It seems peculiar to me that we should be honoring my father's life this side of these stained glass windows rather than out there in nature, in the garden of pine and marigold that was my father's love. My father had quite a green thumb. The man who raised me lived a long time. His life spanning a whole lot of presidents, a lot of popes, a lot of wars. Silently, he planted the seed of his will in peace and love in a quiet suburb of Chicago. I could never picture my father as a combatant in war, as a soldier wielding a gun. He was too gentle a man for that. The barrel of a gun was no match for my father's smile. No bullet could ever replace the flowers that my father grew. Under his rainbow flag, my father lived and worked and played. Yes, my father enlisted in World War II, and yes, he was swept up in the patriotic fervor that swept a nation. Us versus them, good versus evil, a refrain that we hear over and over today. But even then, things weren't so simple. Roosevelt knew what Hitler had planned for the Jews, but said nothing and restricted immigration. The United States rounded up Japanese American citizens and sent them to camps. The Allies had Dresden and other German cities reduced to rubble, killing tens of thousands of non-combatants. Today, we still wonder whether Roosevelt knew about Pearl Harbor in advance, just as we ask whether George Bush had any advanced knowledge of the Twin Towers. My father, the patriot, thought he would soon be seeing combat, but his gun was taken away from him in boot camp, and he was transferred to a post in Sydney, Australia. My father was spared combat. Lady Luck intervened. He was better at rescuing saplings out from under the shadow of the forest and placing them in the sun, better at raising a family, better at cultivating the colors of this world. The Catholic Church, like so many other religious institutions, is always at war. Is at war with women, reproductive rights, gay people, marriage equality, and its battleground is right here in our own backyard, Wisconsin. For my father, there never was a battle, and there never was a battleground. What he saw and embraced in this world was a forest, a world of diversity and bright colors. That, to be sure, was his garden. Many years ago, it made me feel so good when my parents told my brother's boyfriend, turned partner of 14 years, Raymond, you can call us Dad. What is it about the church, like the nations of this world, that it has to swath its cancer of intolerance and myths and lies rather than take its cue from people like my parents, my father, the gardener, and recognize the beauty in us all? My father planted a family. For him, God's rafters was a blue sky. It could never have been the ceiling of a Catholic church, because my father, my mother included, would never have waged war against gay and lesbian families as this church has done, fighting aggressively for the recent Wisconsin state amendment banning the legal recognition of thousands of Wisconsin families just because for each, both heads of the household happen to be of the same sex. Does the Catholic Church realize the consequences of what it says, the consequences of its message, the tragic impact that it has on gay and lesbian youth? The Catholic Church has blood on its hands. My father had on his hands marigolds, private prairie violets, little fir trees, saplings that he planted in the sun, including his 3 sons. Out there in nature is a world of diversity, of affirmation, not discrimination, of beauty, not hate. And God, through my father, would never have charged us for a walk through it. There is a little idyllic road winding through a section of Fish Creek. You can walk down it today. On one side is a beautiful, steep cliff of conifers and evergreens, trees that form an archway over the road. On the other side is cottage after cottage sequestered amongst pine. Off in the distance, one can see the bay. I can imagine my mother and father walking down that road right now, as they often have, hand in hand. I can hear the wind through the trees. I can smell the bouquet of the roadside. Walter Whitman, a 19th century American poet, reflecting on his own imminent passing, wrote, "If you want me, you can look for me under your boot soles. Sure as the sun will rise tomorrow, you can find my father. You can always find my father amongst the flowers, the trees, the cherries, the birch, the marigolds of the Door counties of this world." The Catholic Church has been sabotaging the civil rights of gay people for years. To wit, the Catholic Church, through its consortium of bishops from Milwaukee, Madison, and Green Bay, played a major role in the November 2006 passage of Wisconsin's anti-gay marriage amendment. No other religious institution has so effectively enshrined hate into a state constitution like the Catholic Church. My father would never have supported this. Recently, the U.S. Conference of Bishops kicked in $100,000, and the Catholic fraternal outfit, Knights of Columbus, contributed $1.4 million to promote the passage of California's anti-gay Proposition 8, which in effect stripped the civil rights of thousands of California gays and lesbians. It stripped the rights of thousands of California gay and lesbian families of their civil rights. My father embraced who I was, who I am. My father instilled in me a great sense of self-pride. Shame on the Catholic Church. Like so many conservative fundamentalist religions, it has blood on its hands. Just consider its abuse of young people, not the police abuse scandal that we have so often heard about in the news. Those are acts committed by individuals, but the collective act of the Catholic Church as a whole when it equates homosexual love with sin, or enters the political arena and thwarts the same-sex marriage rights of gay and lesbian couples. What the Church says tragically all too often translates into teenage suicide and gay bashing on the streets. By stripping gay and lesbian families of same-sex marriage rights, the Church is pulling the economic underpinnings and security out from under gay parents and their children. Through its tax-exempt status, the Catholic Church charges us for its bigotry. Last December, the Pope decried the United Nations call for the decriminalization of homosexuality. At the same time, the Pope indicated that the saving of humanity from gay and lesbian people is more important than saving rainforests from destruction. It is paramount that we, gay and lesbian people, balance the electoral efforts of such pro-gay political groups as Fair Wisconsin with direct action. The Church indeed has tax-exempt status, and because of it, when it enters the political arena, it is doing something illegal, and because of its bigotry, it is encroaching on the dignity of American youth. I say to the Wisconsin LGBT community and to all LGBT communities, let us take to the streets. There is nothing so sacrosanct about the Church that we cannot enter its confines and engage in creative, direct, and bold action.